Assalaamu Alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Gamers Podcast, the official podcast of the largest Discord server for Muslim gamers. My name is Faraj, and joining me today are someone playing Metal Gear, I'm guessing, with Nael's background sound there, Nael, and
You'll eat one of those
Laughing Man.
rations.
Right.
That's my fridge going off.
If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube and your podcast platform of choice, as it'll really help us out. And if you haven't already joined the Discord server, go ahead and do that. There's some pretty cool stuff in there for you. Once again, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that we are extremely privileged as gamers to be able to enjoy this hobby, but we can't forget about the people that are suffering everywhere, particularly people of Gaza and Palestine, the people of Congo, the people of Sudan, Afghanistan, anywhere else where people may be suffering. Any places that I might be missing, guys. I want to make sure we don't miss anyone.
There's
the list is
Yeah.
so many
Yeah,
to
yeah,
list.
it's unfortunate.
There's-
Unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Need is
will
everywhere.
I will also mention like Uyghurs in China.
Yeah, the Uyghurs,
And
the
we
Rohingyas.
we always think about international, but even look domestically.
Mhm.
People living within the streets, the homeless here, they're also suffering.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not always just internationally.
Well, let's continue to keep them in our du'as. May Allah grant them ease and victory and justice, inshallah.
Ameen.
Amen.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started and talk about the gaming part of our Muslim Gamers podcast. We'll start out with the games that we've been playing. You know what? You guys mind if I go first?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think I went
Take it
first
away.
last week too. It was just I'm going off the order on the document.
It's all good. You sound
yeah.
excited to share what you've been
Yeah,
playing.
I mean it's not that much different from last week. The only new addition is I've been watching a lot of Star Wars with my 6-year-old son now.
Okay.
Which Star
we're
Wars,
the movies?
Yeah, we're going canon chronologically. So we started with episode 1, appropriate because he's a kid's movie, and then we saw episode 2. Not as cringy as I remember it being. So
It got way more hate than I think it deserved.
Right.
It has its moments of cringe, but I think in our collective nerddom mind, it got a lot more than it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially when we look at the new sequels, we think of that meme. Oh, perhaps I was a little too harsh on you, child.
It's great ideas. It's just a little poorly Lucas kind of poorly executed it. And the worst part is if you just look at the cast for episode 1 and 2, like Samuel L. Jackson, Natalie Portman,
Christopher
Liam Neeson.
Neeson?
Crazy.
Like this is an all-star cast, and then it shows that you could have a star cast, but if the lines in the script aren't very thought-provoking or interesting,
it can fall flat on the audience.
Oh yeah. No, especially I think it was Harrison Ford that said he tried to have a conversation with George about like, hey, these are not things that people say. Like people don't.
This isn't how people talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyways, putting aside prequel or sequel hate, it was because of that I've been getting into a little bit of the Skywalker saga, the Lego Skywalker saga. But more so than that, I wanted something that looked a little bit more quote unquote photorealistic. So I actually decided to download Battlefront 2, the new Battlefront 2.
The new one.
Yeah, I tried to do some of the single player mods on there. It wasn't really working exactly, but because I remember there not being as many options for single player. But the mods were kind of giving me some issues, so I reverted it back. And I'm actually noticing there's a lot more options now in the single player part. Like I'm not talking about the story. I'm talking about like instant action or arcade mode, where like I don't remember being able to take a starfighter against the AI. Because sometimes people just figure out ways to cheese, and it just makes the whole starfighter assault sections or that mode itself really tedious. But now I actually have something to have a little bit more fun with.
Did you play the original Battlefront series?
Oh yeah, absolutely love those. Those are
one of my favorites.
Yeah,
to this day, I pulled out the old one over the new one. Even though I feel like the new one has come a long way from the original release and how much it just didn't live up to my expectation. I feel like it's come a long way. It's gotten better.
Oh yeah,
but
there's nothing like the old Pandemic ones.
The original Battlefront 2. Ooh.
Yeah, rest in peace, Pandemic. That's the name of the studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually have that installed on my Steam Deck. So if I feel the need for Battlefront, I keep hitting my mic. I'm sorry. If I feel the need for Battlefront on the go, I'll just stick with stick with it on my Steam Deck, the OG one. Yeah. But on the PC, you know, it's a little beefier, so I'll play with some of the newer graphics on there. It is quite fun.
Yeah, nice. I also wanted to ask, were you playing the Lego Star Wars with your son, like the 2-player mode, the co-op mode?
I tried the 2-player mode. I feel like the split screen just takes up too much real estate. Yeah. I wish there was like some sort of a crossplay, because I have it on Switch and I have it on PC. Mm-hmm. So the one thing I have been wanting to try is, for my PC I have an ultra wide monitor. So doing split screen on there, but that would mean he'd need to like sit next to me, and the ultra wide monitor isn't as big as a TV. Complete first world problem. So and also sometimes
nice, I think most of the Lego games, they like, if you're next to each other, you're in the same area, and then when you move away, then it splits.
Right, because I think this is one of the first Lego games that actually puts you in like a third person perspective. First Lego Star Wars game, because the previous ones all had that like kind of almost top down view, so it was easier to do multiplayer in that. We tried a little bit. It wasn't like, I prefer to just, because he kind of plays a little bit every day. He gets like 30 minutes of game time every day, so he just plays a little bit. Me is just, if I have the kids around me and I need to play something that's safe for them, I play that. I mean, Battlefront 2 was also okay, I guess. There was one time when I was playing, and he just keep telling me, "Oh, Dad, just make sure there's, you know, you're losing objective B over there." It's like, yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, you're losing C now. I know. Oh, there's a tank over there. I know.
Damn.
Yeah. So yeah, we definitely Star Wars has been a nice little bonding experience for us. Nice. Yeah. As one of his rewards for like doing well in school, he's been asking for like a new Lego Star Wars set. So we got him this little like Boba Fett mech, so he's been having fun with that too, and he's been like telling me, he's like, "Oh, this is what he looks like in the game." So super fun, super exciting to do all that with him. And then I've been going back to Red Dead Redemption, and I'm mainly playing it on my Steam Deck. I've actually uninstalled it from my PC. It's not my first time. This is maybe my 5th time starting the story. No. I've never beaten the story.
The Red Dead Redemption 1?
Oh, the first one. Yes. Red Dead Redemption 1.
Oh, the first one. That's what I was...
Yeah, okay. It's I mean, for a 14-year-old game, it plays really great on the Steam Deck, so I'm glad. They did a great job with this port. Like, it's there's very little bugs. Any bugs that are there, I think, were already present in the original game, so it's kind of like they carried that over. There was even some, I didn't experience it myself, but there was some weapon that functions like the briefcase in the new Hitman games, where if you throw it, it just basically works as a homing missile. I didn't get a chance to try that yet, but I haven't gotten that far. But you know, having it in that portable way to play, especially being able to like put my console to sleep and wake up at any time, I'm able to enjoy the game more and make more progress with it. So compared to like having to play it on my Xbox 360, was where I originally got it. That's a nice
quality of life.
Exactly. Yeah, great quality of life improvement there. Thanks to PC handhelds. And lastly, another game I've been playing on my Steam Deck is this game called Fury Unleashed. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Fury. Is it part of like the original Fury game series?
No. So this is basically, it's an independent roguelite. Yeah, roguelite game. Where think of it as Contra meets Comic Zone. So you're moving through these like different panels in a comic.
It's like it's like 2D.
Yeah, 2D side scrolling. And you have, you know, you play as these macho characters that would need to like shoot, like they collect different weapons, shoot down you know, their enemies on screen. It's it's a really great game. I think it's usually like $20 when
it's $2 right now on Steam.
There you go, on Steam. Go ahead
if anyone wants to add to their pile of shame.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely a great game to play with. What I love on the Steam is the really Steam Workshop integration, where you could change your character's head to be like whatever people have uploaded. So I have mine as Peter Griffin from Family Guy.
Oh my!
So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to play. There's a very good gameplay loop to it. It's a lot of fun. Definitely not kid friendly because there's a lot of blood and gore. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. There's a very interesting story behind, like, there's a comic book part of it where like there's something going on with the author where he might be going crazy or whatever. But it's pretty cool.
That's fun.
But yeah, that's all I got. Okay, why don't we have Nael go next?
All right. Well, I attempted to play. I forgot I had bought it. Need for Speed, Undercover, the remaster for the Switch. I forgot I had bought it.
Wait, they remastered Undercover for the Switch?
Is it Undercover
or Hot Pursuit?
Hot Pursuit.
Okay,
Pursuit.
I was about to say
Yeah. Oh, if it was Undercover, yeah.
Did you like Undercover?
Undercover, I remember having fun, but I was a kid when I played it.
Undercover wasn't that long ago. Are you thinking about Undercover or Underground?
Underground.
Okay, there we go.
Underground was awesome.
Okay.
So Hot Pursuit has a remaster. I tried playing it, but I don't remember it being that hard. I don't know if it's a skill issue because I haven't played racing games in a long time, and maybe they've come a long way. But I don't remember struggling that much the first time like I played it, like in the OG days. But yeah, I tried to play a couple races. I could barely get third.
Really?
Yeah. Like I'm not like this is like, and you're moving so fast through the courses that you can barely take shortcuts and stuff. So it was very hard to like actually play. And there's like a really heavy like slingshot effect. So like if you're doing
the slingshot
well,
is
like,
heavy in the game.
it's so heavy. So like it just doesn't feel fun. So you know, we're gonna be speaking on quality of life. That's something to talk about. So I kind of gave up on that after playing it for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So then I actually jumped back into Minecraft after a long time.
Okay.
Every once in a while, I'll reopen Minecraft just to play through and make some stuff and just have fun.
You play by yourself or you play with the nibblings?
By myself.
Okay.
Sometimes I play on servers, but like I used to even run a server a long time ago. But yeah, it's one of those games where every once in a while I get an itch to play it again, and like I'll hop in and just play.
Cool. You play on survival mode or the build?
Both. Right now I'm doing survival.
Okay.
No mods. Usually I would play with a lot of mods.
Yeah, I feel like survival is the way to go. Because with creative, I kind of lose track of like what I need to do. With survival, it's like, okay, I have an objective. I need to build a house.
Creative, I like to play if we're like, I'm playing with people and we're like, okay, we want to like build something specific. There's a specific build objective. Otherwise, like, you're just going to blow everything up with TNT. That's all you're going to end up doing.
Nice. All right, Laughing Man, let's hear about what you've been playing.
So I've been continuing Dragon Age Veilguard. I'm not, because I've been kind of busy, so I'm not too far in. I'm like 25, 30-ish hours in. Kind of going a little bit off the discussion Abdul and I had last week. I see a little bit more of some of his criticisms. The dialogue is a little campy, a bit too campy at times compared to the previous games. But again, it doesn't bother me much. I don't mind it. The game is still, it has some very dark moments, and if you've played the previous games and you know the lore, there's a ton of lore reveals. So many long questions are finally being answered and stuff. And to me, that ultimately matters the most. And the combat is just extremely satisfying. It's like God of War style action combat. Once you get it and you learn how it works, and the skill tree, you can refund a skill anytime you want. So you can change your build on the fly. Other games, like if you refund skill points, there's like a cost because it kind of wants you to commit. Here it's like, you want to redo your entire build into this? Okay, refund everything.
On the fly, you could do it.
On the fly.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Same thing with the companions as well. If you want one companion for this mission to be a healer, you could spec them into like a healer, and then you're like, next mission I want you as a DPS. Respec their entire tree to be DPS.
That's cool.
So I really like that, and
Do you feel
one of the
like
topics
it takes away from the immersion though?
No,
Okay.
I think because I've seen people talk about other RPGs where they're like, man, I wanna try something, but I don't want to start a whole playthrough to experience it. Some people want to try something out in a single playthrough.
Yeah.
And what's it called?
If I can rewind a little bit,
yeah,
I've heard a lot of people. I've heard that combat can either be you love it or hate it. I've seen a lot of people on Reddit especially complain about like, oh, Veilguard is now reviewed worse than Mass Effect Andromeda, and it's because of one
which
of the
is not
things
true.
The combat. Yeah.
Mass Effect Andromeda got a 6 point. Right. Mass Effect Andromeda got a 6.5 overall on Metacritic. Veilguard got an 8.5, around an 8.5, which is the same as Inquisition, the previous game.
Oh wow.
Yeah, combat, and I think some of those fans, they're like old school Dragon Age fans where the combat was a bit more slower. This is like a full-on action combat. Dragon Age has never been like straight up full-on action combat like this. My only complaint about the combat is sometimes I this is why I don't parry, or I parry if I'm fighting one big enemy, but not multiple enemies. The parrying timing can be a little bit tricky, but you could dodge. You don't have to parry. You could basically dodge roll and stuff. And kind of going to a topic we're going to discuss later today about like QOL accessibility. Veilguard has one of the best customizability when it comes to interface and stuff that I like. For example, it has the I've told friends, I was like, hey, turn off the minimap. When you turn off the minimap and the quest indicator, you can make it so that it'll pulse for like a couple seconds and it'll disappear. You want to see it again? Press up on the D-pad. It'll show up again. And the reason for this, it makes it super immersive now.
Hold on,
have you noticed
you're playing with the controller?
Yeah, any action, my rule is FPS, mouse and keyboard. Any game that has aiming for combat, mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
Anything that's hack and slash third person action, controller. So I wouldn't know what the thing is on a keyboard, but you can look it up. Okay. But yeah, have you noticed anytime there's a game with a mini-map, whether you like it or not, your eyes are often split between the main screen and the mini-map. Like,
depends on the game. Depends on the placement of the mini-map as well.
But usually in the top right, top left corner, like your eyes.
But as when you're navigating, wayfinding, like you're not just in the game. You're like your right eye is up in the right corner.
Peripheral, right. Yeah, in your peripheral vision. And so as soon as I turned it off, I did turn it back on, and I didn't like it. And I was like, now any game that has the ability to turn off the minimap, that is amazing. So you could do that. You could customize the interface to your liking. Like, you could go crazy with it. So
nice.
That's kind of really cool. So I'm playing that, and I'm also been playing a lot of Balatro. You tell me if this is a coincidence. As soon as Balatro was announced as a Game of the Year nominee, I won with the yellow deck, the green deck, and the black deck back to back consecutively. Okay. You tell me whether that's a coincidence or not. And the last thing, Balatro's like my study break.
We don't believe in like that kind of superstitious. Like there's a combination between that.
No. I'm not saying it's divine. I'm saying
he's saying there's a conspiracy.
The devs rigged the odds. They're like, ooh, it's nominated. The devs rigged the RNG odds. Okay. That's what I'm implying.
They're trying to get the votes.
I see.
Yeah,
it looks like they already got their votes.
And the other thing, recently I dug out my old 3DS, which I modified. I'll let you interpret what that means. Modified, and fired up some classic Fire Emblem Awakening on the go.
Nice.
Usually I think I've told you guys this, my rule is I can only do one story heavy RPG at a time.
Right.
But if it's something I've already played before and it's like a small tactical game like Fire Emblem Awakening, it's a handheld, I can play that on the side. I don't mind that. But yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Nice. Just a quick aside on what you modified with your 3DS. I think Nintendo's going really hard on. It's a slight tangent. They're going really hard on emulation, where they think all emulation is illegal. Where I think I just heard on the Wolf Den podcast where they will prosecute any instance of piracy, where if there's public record of anyone ever having talked about piracy, they could go after them, and for every instance of emulation, get fined up to $2,500 per instance. So imagine people that are putting up like Let's Plays or like walkthroughs or whatever.
So the reason for that, and this guy is such an idiot. This guy's an absolute buffoon and a moron. he would literally, basically, he had he had a Switch emulator, and he was pirating Switch games before they officially released, because there would be leaks and stuff.
Right.
And this idiot, this absolute buffoon, bonobo moron, he would stream on Kick, unreleased Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and he would stream the whole thing. Now you might be thinking, oh man, he did it for clout. What clout? 5 to 10 viewers?
No, he's purely doing it to spite. Purely out of spite.
That's pathetic.
Yeah.
Like, and when Nintendo sent him a cease and desist, he would taunt them and say, what are you gonna do about it? I'm printing out your email and using it as toilet paper. Like, he would taunt them.
Right.
And then now, somebody showed on a Discord, whatever, he's like saying, yeah, guys, the capitalist system is getting to me. I'm like, bro, listen, I have my issues with capitalism. This isn't capitalism. This is
theft is theft.
Exactly.
It's unreleased.
Like, bro, this isn't. You're not some like leftist like Bernie
Robin
Sanders.
Hood. You're not Robin
like
Hood.
Robin Hood.
Right.
Like, no, you're just an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
You're just an idiot. And now he's putting everything you described. It's because of him.
Right.
Now all of this is at risk because of this buffoon and moron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just mentioning as a warning that just be careful what you say about
it. For retro gamers.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, which especially sucks for retro gamers, because a lot of games you can't find with conventional means anymore.
Yeah, unless you want to dish out an arm and a leg for the console, and then another arm and leg for some dumb collector who's hoarding it like a dragon.
And even then, it's not guaranteed to work or stay working long term, because these things degrade over time.
Right.
You go on eBay and buy, like, you're like, oh, I'm a goody two shoes halal boy. I want an actual copy of Pokemon Heart Gold Soul Silver. You buy it. And you're like, oh, eBay, a good raider. He has a good star rating. You buy it. Chances are 90% of the time that cartridge that you bought, it's a flash card. It's a flash card. So like, yeah, I'd be more sympathetic if Nintendo was like literally on the eShop, just allow people to download on the virtual consoles they have on the Switch. That's literally an emulator. Just port.
It's not even a virtual console.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's part of the subscription. You have to pay for the subscription to get it.
Exactly.
Really
just if they put the entire every GBA, Nintendo DS, literally on the library, like, you solve the issue. Like, I'm just saying.
It's accessibility. It comes down to accessibility.
Right.
It always comes down to accessibility.
Yeah, I believe Gaben was the one that said that. Piracy is a service issue. It's not it's not just because people don't want to.
If people can't afford it, like, they're gonna pirate anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But most people are just gonna, hey, I can just buy it for a few bucks. I'm gonna just do that and not risk something illegal.
Yeah, especially when it's all in one place and you don't have to go through different hoops to get the game to work. If it's already on Steam or GOG, you know, those are great places to buy your games. The whole games preservation thing too, it could be a whole topic on its own. But since you mentioned Balatro and it being a Game of the Year nominee, let's actually talk about our news a little bit, because there's been a little bit of, like you mentioned, some controversy behind some of the Game of the Year nominee picks. So why don't you go ahead and get into that?
Yeah, so prior to the Game of the Year nominees, they were out on Monday of this week. Now, prior to that, Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards, they released an FAQ on their website announcing that DLCs and expansions are eligible as a nominee for the ultimate Game of the Year category. And this upset a lot of people, even people who enjoyed Shadow of the Erdtree, the Elden Ring DLC, including myself. I enjoyed it. I think it's phenomenal. I will say it's almost like an Elden Ring 2. The amount of content in it, it's almost like an Elden Ring 2, basically, like a sequel. With that said, it is not a new... even though it's a new DLC, it is an add-on to an existing game. It's not a standalone. It's not like,
existing game to play it.
Yeah, sure, you have to buy it. Like in their explanation, they said they take into account the length of the expansion, the cost and stuff. And yeah, it costs $40, which is like, the cost of like some new games, but you still need to play OG Elden Ring in order to access the content. And it's not like, oh, you can skip it. No, you have to play Elden Ring far into the late game in order to access the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
So it is technically new content for a 2-year-old game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the first issue. And then the other one was, some people are upset, okay, if Elden Ring DLC gets a jab at the being a nominee, where's Persona 3 Reloaded? Why wasn't that? Remasters and remakes are allowed. Why wasn't Persona 3 Reloaded up there? And then another one, this one I'm kind of disappointed with, Silent Hill 2 remake. That is a that that was I haven't played it yet, but from the reviews I've seen and people I trust, everyone's like, it was great, it was amazing, and if anything, that one deserves.
Yeah, there was a lot of work that went into that one, right? It wasn't just a simple port. Like they actually put in work to bring it to modern hardware.
Yeah, and not just that. The Konami published it, but they didn't do the remake. They outsourced it to Bloober Team, which are a small team of Polish devs. Mm-hmm. And Bloober Team, they kind of have like a not the best reputation. They've done horror games before, but their games, you either like it, or even if you like it, they're a little like janky and stuff. Like the term we use, Eurojank and whatnot. So when it was announced Bloober Team was doing the Silent Hill 2 remake, everyone was like, yeah, it's gonna suck. They're gonna ruin it. It's gonna be terrible. And when the first trailer came out, the clunky animations, the movement, everyone's like, yep, this is gonna suck. This is gonna be terrible. Like everyone had written them off as a failure from day one, pretty much. And then the Bloober Team devs, they're like, okay, that trailer's misleading. I don't know why Konami used old footage. We gave them new footage. Why did they make the trailer with old footage? And then the game came out, and everyone universally is like, this is amazing. Right. This is how you do a horror game remake. They kept true to the spirit and everything.
Yeah, and yet it's not a
Yeah, and yet it's not a nominee. It is a nominee in a different category. But why not Game of the Year, like the big one? It should be. It should be up there. If every Resident Evil remake that you can think of was a nominee the years previously, why not this one? So yeah, there's been some controversy, mainly with Shadow of the Erdtree, and everyone's like every sensible person I know is like, easy solution, just make a best DLC expansion category.
Yeah. Like, as someone who's been watching the Game Awards for years, I thought it already had one. I was surprised to find out it doesn't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this annoys me because I'm like, last year, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, one of the best expansions I have ever experienced. Why wasn't that allowed in the main Game of the Year category? You know where they put Cyberpunk instead? Best ongoing game, which makes zero sense because that category is for live service stuff. Like, and so this shows that there's a little bit of like politicking at play here. Mm-hmm. It's clear Jeff, he sees that Shadow of the Erdtree is like a big monumental. It's a great expansion, and he thinks, this is my speculation, he thinks, oh, putting it in a DLC category won't capture its greatness. It has to be in the main category. But it's like it's not a new, it's standalone
still a DLC,
thing. Yeah. It's not. There are expansions that are standalone. Like you could just buy that and play it straight up alone.
Yeah, I think giving them their own category, like it still it's still a big honor, like to the team, right? Like they put in a lot of work to make that DLC. And they get the recognition. I don't think there's any shame in it being called a DLC. It is a DLC.
Right.
And to rub more salt into the wound, it also appears in the categories as Best RPG as a nominee, and Best RPG, Best Game Direction. And it's like, what? Come on, dude. Like, you're rubbing more salt in the wound. Now, me personally, I think the game that deserves it out of the ones on it, personally, for me, it would be Metaphor ReFantagio. Main reason is because Atlas absolutely cooked. I haven't fully played it yet, but I read one review by Gene Park. He's a Washington Post reviewer. He asked the director a question, and the director of the game was like, nobody's ever asked me this question, but it's a good question. Gene Park asked the director, is one of the themes of this game that civil democracy is actually an illusion, and a functioning civil democracy is actually an illusion? And given recent political, climate around the whole world, the game apparently touches that subject really well. That's what I realistically hope wins. But me deep down, who do I want to win? Balatro. I want Balatro to sweep the entire thing. I want this little indie game that came out as a demo, and then people love the demo, and I want this to sweep it, mainly because it will make certain FromSoft fanboys cry and have a meltdown, and not to mention it would be, people say, oh, we need to appreciate indie games. I'm appreciating an indie game. Balatro's amazing, and also because it would just be absolutely funny. Think about it. Yeah, Balatro wins the whole thing.
Absolutely, I agree.
I don't know if you guys knew this, but last year, when Baldur's Gate 3 swept everything, it shows you the gaming bubble some people live in. Mm-hmm. A bunch of people, specifically Spider-Man fanboys, and this isn't a dish at Spider-Man, more so just at the fanboys. They were like, how did this turn-based, why did this win? How is that possible? What is this turn-based boring combat? Like, it shocked a bunch of people. Like, I've never heard of this. How could this win?
As someone who's played through Spider-Man 2 and even platinumed it within the first 2 weeks that it came out, it's good, game. But it's not. It's not Game of the Year material. It's a good game. I enjoyed playing
it. Maybe it did deserve an award. Like, I don't know if Baldur's Gate 3 necessarily need to sweep at the show.
Yeah. Now that Balatro's nominated, I'm seeing a bunch of people like, I've never heard of this. They're angry at the nomination for different reasons.
Every year, no one is happy with
regardless of what the rule changes are. There's gonna be people that complain,
right? Yeah. But to be somewhat fair to the people who are like, damn, I guess I'm living under a rock. Balatro, it was like an indie game only on Steam, and most, as we know, most people who game, they're console gamers. After it became popular, it did get an Xbox version. There's now a mobile version. Warning: we do not encourage gambling addictions for those who now want to download it on mobile.
It's not really a gambling game.
Yeah.
It only looks like one.
Yeah,
it looks like one. Yeah.
In fact, I think some regions even gave it like a 17+ rating because it's like gambling adjacent, just because
poker hands. Poker hands. Yeah, but I can see why some people specifically hadn't heard of that, because if you just play on PlayStation, you've obviously heard of Final Fantasy Rebirth. You've heard of Metaphor. You've heard of Elden Ring, but Balatro? What the heck is this? What is this poker
thing? Even I feel like PC gamers only started hearing about it recently.
Yeah, you're also proving my point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I heard about it because I keep up with all the indie PC news and stuff.
Same.
But yeah, I've seen people like, why am I just hearing about this? And for that reason, I want Balatro sweep. Let's go. 50 state landslide. Let's go.
I'd love to see that. Oh man, that'd be so. At the end of the day, the Game Awards, it's any award show. Honestly, it's like not. You don't need to win an award to say, "Oh, you're a good game" or "You're a great game." A lot of the times, these award shows, like you said, there's a lot of politicking going on. It's a popularity
and
contest and marketing. Like the Game Awards was a place where we literally had the Chic Hydro Man. Like, it was literally a walking razor. Yep. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was on Spike TV of all places. Was where first.
I know what that is.
Yeah, I remember one of the first years I saw the Game Awards. I think it was whichever year we had Left 4 Dead 2, Uncharted 2, because it had Jack Black come on stage, and because he won the award for best voice actor, he's like, Uncharted 2 or like Uncharted Poo. Left 4 Dead 2 or like Left 4 Dead 2.
I'm not gonna lie. There's a certain charm.
There is a certain charm, but
in that style of
the moment I knew that this is not something to be taken seriously is when Tony Hawk came and he was like, "Oh, I'd like to introduce my musical guest, my twin, 50 Cent," and I was like, "How is he your twin?"
No, yeah.
So, and this was whenever that was 2009, 2000. I think I want to say 2010 or 2009.
This is why it's to kind of, I don't want to dwell on this topic because we got a bunch of other things, but I'll end it with, this is why, kind of what you said, the true game of the year is the one in your heart. But emotions aside, there are I don't think many people know this. There are multiple awards, Golden Joystick Awards, DICE Awards, and some of these I think are a bit more important because I think DICE or Golden Joysticks, one of them is run by actual game devs, so they bring in a more unique perspective. And what I tell people is, don't just the game of the year by Jeff Keighley. It's like the big fancy one,
right?
But
it's
look
like
at all of them.
It's
it's
the media one, exactly.
Yeah. Look at all of them together in conjunction. That's how you should look at all. I think there's 6 main ones: Golden Joystick, DICE, and there's a couple. BAFTA. BAFTA is another one. I don't remember what the last one is. Look at all of them together, and if it still doesn't satisfy you, it's whatever is in your heart. My game of the year in my heart, my Balatro train aside, is that indie cyberpunk game, Minds Beneath Us. That's my game of the year.
I think the only game I played that came out this year was Helldivers 2. Everything else was either a remake or something.
That one's a solid contender as well in some categories.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't get to Game of the Year, but like we said,
I haven't played anything that has come out this year yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, let's go ahead and move on to our next story. I do want to kind of bring this one up because it is kind of funny. We'll get through pretty quickly. I know from my section, it looks like I posted 2 separate news articles, but they're kind of related. Because one was where Sony, someone high up in Sony, let me actually pull up, Sony president Hiroki Totoki, he is super happy that the PS5 Pro is selling better than the PS4 Pro did, and saying that, oh, we're actually really happy with the sales of this thing. Because I found this topic while I was browsing, like just scrolling through Reddit. Literally right after that, I came across this next story, which says that PS5 scalper or PS5 Pro scalpers are having a hard time selling this game, so they're selling it at a loss. So
good.
Bad news, President Hiroki Totoki. I think a lot of the sales of the PS5 Pro are the scalpers.
From the scalp. Well, if anything, that's a double win. It sold well,
right?
So Sony's gonna continue to be like, "Ooh, okay, people like advanced."
Sony still got their sale.
Exactly, yeah, they're happy.
They got their sale, and the scalpers still lose. And
win,
because they have to sell it,
I don't care who wins. I want the scalpers to lose.
Exactly, because they have to sell it at a loss. That's a win-win for the consumer. Win-win.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Although I should say, I don't think a single person I know personally has bought a PS5 Pro. I don't know if same for you guys?
know in my online friend group, pretty much like half of everyone has bought a PS5 Pro.
Half?
Interesting.
To be fair, in this friend group, everyone's like in their late 30s, 40s. They're like older gamers, and some of their kids are like in college, so they're retired. So they got a bunch of money lying around. So, but I think like half of the people I know online, they've all bought a PS5 Pro. Some even ordered that limited edition, that that
the
special
30th
limited
anniversary
edition
one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I put an SSD into my PS4 Pro, and it's still going strong, and it already has all the PS5 games I want to play on it, with God of War Ragnarok and Horizon and Ghost of Tsushima. So
wait, you said PS4 Pro?
PS4 Pro. PS4 Pro.
But you said it could play PS5 games. That's why
it's not. I'm playing the PS5 games that I want to play, which are also available on PS4.
Gotcha.
But yeah, kind of segueing into our topic. Our topic is around different things that we're thankful for when it comes to our games, different features, different accessibility features, quality of life improvements, different things like that.
Our Thanksgiving special.
Exactly, basically what we're thankful for. And the reason I bring up my PS4 Pro is because so I have my brother-in-law had his PS5 where I was playing Horizon Forbidden West. It was on my account. But then I no longer have that because he's keeping it in his room. Long story. So I decided, okay, let me go ahead and start playing it on my PS4 Pro. And I started it a while back, and then I decided I had a 1 terabyte SSD lying around in my PC, not really getting any use. So I put it in my PS4 Pro, but in that process, also lost all my saves. I just didn't have the foresight to back up my saves, but it's okay. I figured, okay, let me go ahead and start some of these games from scratch. I didn't get that far in Forbidden West. It was maybe just like right into the prologue. I start up the game, and I can't pause the very first cutscene that kind of recaps the entire story of Horizon Zero Dawn. I can't pause it. I can pause it, but I can't skip it. I'm like, I already played through Horizon Zero Dawn twice. I have already started.
How long is this recap? Is it pretty long?
It's about maybe 2 or 3 minutes that I have to
That's
sit
kind
through.
of long.
That is kind of long.
That is actually kind of long.
And especially because I've already seen the recap and I'm trying to skip it. The fact that this is a 2022 game where I can't skip a cutscene, I'm like, I don't think this is an issue on the PS5 version, and at the same time, I don't think it takes 3 minutes for the game to load in the background and using the cutscene as a mask for that loading to happen. So I think it's just they did it by design where they force you
to just really want to give you all that exposition.
Exactly.
So it might, my thought might be, so believe it or not, a lot of people, if I see insert game title 2, I'm gonna play the first whatever came before it. A lot of people, they start in the middle. Right. They don't want to play the previous ones. And I'm guessing the devs thought, okay, I think a lot of people, they're going to start with this one. They're not going to play the previous. We want them to understand the story. You are watching this.
You have no choice to skip it. Yeah, but not giving a choice to be able to skip it or view it later.
Yeah, there should still be a choice.
Yeah. Kind of a similar story. I mean, not a similar story, but not being. I feel like right now we should be able to pause any of our cutscenes because we have lives. I'm a parent. Sometimes I'll be playing at night and my kid wakes up in the middle of the night.
Emergencies happen.
Yeah, this is kind of a funny story because it happened years ago when I was playing the first Halo Combat Evolved on my PC, and I think I get to one of the cutscenes right before the flood happens, and right as that cutscene started was when this was at a time when I think a lot of people had this software called Adhan. A lot of Muslims had this software called Adhan on their PC, which would play the Adhan at the prayer time, which is great. But it literally started playing right at the start of the cutscene, and I could not pause the cutscene. And I didn't want to have it play through while the Adhan was going on, so I had to skip it. But thankfully, there was YouTube where I could go back and play, watch the cutscene in its entirety. But still, it would have been nice to have that pause feature.
I was gonna bring that up. It's always nice when you in game can go back and watch a cutscene, especially if it's like some important mission related, story related something, and you accidentally skip it or you're forced to skip it in your case, right? And then you're like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do now?
Right.
What's next? And what's my objectives? Whatever, right? You have to I have to go on YouTube and find it. No, but if you can do it in game, it's so much easier.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To shill a little bit for Baldur's Gate 3, you can not only pause during cutscenes, you can also save in the middle of dialogue and quit the game and reload back to that dialogue.
See, I feel like Baldur's Gate 3 was made with understanding the people that play it. Usually, D&D nerds, these tabletop RPG nerds, they tend to have lives on as much as the stereotype is these are no lifers. They do have lives outside of their games. So, sometimes they might need to tend to it, for whatever reason. So, yeah.
No,
Saving
I agree with you.
Saving on dialogue, especially with games that have, you have choices to make. That's nice.
Dice rolls. Some of those dialogue choices involve dice rolls if you want to save scum.
So if you save and you're not trying to do a pure luck game, you can it's nice because not everyone wants to play that way.
Now it is Baldur's Gate 3. I'm guessing is the type of game where people don't usually take a long break and then get back to it. But imagine saving in the middle of a dialogue option or whatever, and then you take a break for so long and come back. It's like I don't remember any of this.
Yeah. Something
funny.
like Baldur's Gate, you don't want to take a long break
Exactly.
and return to it. You're going to be lost completely.
See, I'm kind of worried about that with The Witcher 3 because I'm playing through that, and I unintentionally took quite a bit of a break from it, and I'm afraid to go back to play that game just because I know how much I get sucked into that game, and I'll tell my wife, "Hey, I'm just gonna play for like 15 minutes," and before I know it, it's like 2 a.m. Or I see the alarm for Fudger, and I'm like what happened with the Power Wash Simulator with me. Yeah,
Ooh,
but I've been
Power
talking
Wash
for a while, guys. Well, let me hear something that you guys might have about things that you might be thankful for.
So, kind of like I was mentioning with Veilguard earlier, you can pause during cutscenes. You can't save during in the middle of a cutscene. That would be next level revolutionary. But yeah, you can customize. That's why Veilguard didn't get nominated for any category except for accessibility. Because it has so many accessibility options. I don't know if I've told you guys this, but I'm slightly red-green colorblind. Not severely, but slightly. It has very good colorblind options, and it has you can customize the hood as you like. Some people complain that when you're trying to solve a puzzle, the companions keep giving you hints. You can customize that. You could modify that, turn off like limit banter and stuff. And like I said, by the default settings, the mini map shows up on your top right hand side, and the quest objective marker shows up kind of blinking. You can modify that as much as you want. You could put the mini map on the left side instead, turn it off like I do. If you want, you could turn on every when you walk through the game, interactable objects like chests, items, they have a little subtle glow. If you find that immersion breaking, you could turn that off. Now, like, you're completely like, ooh, is that an item? Can I interact with that? They won't glow. So I'm really thankful for that. And this is just in general. Back in the day, if you ever play any retro JRPG or RPG, there's no map. You're playing that first person dungeon crawler. You're playing Wizardry or Ultima or I don't know, Shin Megami Tensei 1. You better have a notebook handy nearby. You better be drawn. Oh, you took a right turn here. You better draw that on your map. You better draw this on your map. Oh no, you're lost now. Yeah. So really thankful that there are maps now. Warren Spector, he's one of the devs for the original Deus Ex game. He said he kind of misses that. He's like, "Oh man, I miss the days," and I'm like,
you have to have
Warren,
the map in your head.
Warren, Warren's a very older individual, so I think he's kind of look at it nostalgically. Like I can see that it kind of gets you very engaged with the game, but a lot of us, right? We work, have school, grad school, whatever. Some of us are married, have kids. When you come, you don't want to be doing extra work,
exactly,
like opening a notebook and like mapping things out, right? You want to just kind of immerse yourself and not have to do extra like legwork. So I'm really thankful for like auto QOL mapping and quest journals. A lot of older RPGs. You better remembered or take notes. Kind of like what Elden Ring and Souls games do nowadays. And yeah, you better have remembered all of those things, kept notes of it, and then like, I should go back talk to this NPC. Now we have quest journals.
The earliest
So
game I remember having that was earliest game I remember playing having that was the original Mass Effect. It really built the world a lot, especially the way the way it was written out in the quest journal.
For me,
Kingdom Hearts had it a little bit too.
The first one?
First one, yeah. It wasn't as good as the Mass Effect one, but they're like, because a lot of it was more like, oh, this is this character, this is that character. But like, there was bits and pieces of it. I feel like they experimented with like, oh, you met this person here, and this is where you can find these things. So there was a little bit of it.
You're just reminding me of one of the saves that I lost in my PS4 hard drive kerfuffle was Kingdom Hearts 1 remake, or the remastered one, and I got all the way up to Riku.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. I don't think I think I'm just gonna start.
It's a
with
good
2.
thing. It's a good thing Abdul's not here. He would have been like, maybe that's a good. I think the earliest that I didn't. I was like barely a single digit child, so I didn't play it on release. This is years later. Elder Scrolls Morrowind. I have trouble playing like really old games. I've gotten better at it. I'm a lot more patient now. But when I started out gaming, I could not play really older games and stuff. But when I played Morrowind, didn't finish it, but played a significant chunk. You do have a journal, and it tells you things, but it's subtle. It doesn't tell you outright, go here with quest markers. You do have to kind of keep a little bit of a note. You do have to go up to a signpost and like, oh, am I in this city? Am I in a different city? You have to read the signposts and stuff.
There is an aspect of that's kind of enjoyable because you're like unraveling the world around you.
You're not being handheld, basically, or you're
I do think there's a
your hand
balance.
isn't being held.
There's definitely a balance, because then there's the opposite end where it's like, oh, just go here, go there, go there, go there. You're just checking off boxes on your objectives, and you're not really in the world. You're just on rails.
And I've listened to some game developers, because the opposite extreme of that is, like you said, too much handholding, Faraj. I've listened to some game developers' perspectives on this, and if you work in software, any tech related field, you'll kind of empathize with it. They're like, I don't know if you've seen this comic meme, but it shows like the average end user, and it shows this dude, he's licking a coffee mug, and it's like, this is the average. This is the average end user.
Trust me, I work in QA, so I know exactly.
Okay, yeah. So there you go. You have firsthand experience. We're tech savvy. We're able to, like, we're all PC gamers in this podcast. We're able to figure things out. But you would be surprised. Like, people complain like, Resident Evil, yellow paint, break my immersion, unplayable. You would be amazed at how many people don't know, like, there's a ladder here. I should try to climb it up. Like, they legitimately don't know, and then they get stuck. Just look at PlayStation Steam achievements, because they give you the global records.
Right.
Look at what percentage of people got past the tutorial.
Exactly.
Or like the beginning area of something.
I think they used achievements to track and see how many people have actually beaten Witcher 3. To keep in mind how they keep in mind how they designed the story and the length of Cyberpunk 2077 for CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, which I don't like that, because something similar happened with the Veilguard, because this criticism of Veilguard I do agree with. In the previous Dragon Age games, you could play as a jerk. You could make some more kind of like rude, like morally gray, low-key evil options. In this one, all the dialogue is nice. You could be stern, but it's still kind of nice, whether you like it or not. Like, you're basically playing a hero. And BioWare has said, tracking the stats, the vast majority of players only do good heroic playthroughs. They never take like the more evil, darker choices, which I get. I get that. But I still want the option to. Some of us, we're the minority, we do a second replay, we'll take those options. So, yeah, I think I'm not a fan of like tracking options to see like what the next how to make the next game.
Especially if it's a game where like it's meant to have options. It's meant to have many paths. Right, like you can't optimize. Like,
imagine a Telltale game where they tracked how many people chose this ending. So for the next game, they took out.
Then you might as well just make a linear narrative story.
Exactly.
Yeah, just make a linear narrative, like visual novel or something. Yeah,
I will say for me, it's almost it is immersion breaking when there's a choice like that I make, and then at the end it shows me a stat like, this many percentage of people that played the game picked this choice, just like you. Was like, no, I don't want to know how other people are playing the game. I don't know. That's just me.
They show like
that in game with some of the Telltale games.
In Telltale games, they would at the end of the chapter,
episode.
I think,
oh wow, I didn't
end
know
of the
that.
Chapter, end of the episode, they would show like the percentages, and it's interesting, but I feel like don't want to know.
I don't want to see that in game. I want to see that outside of the game. Now, to be fair, the only Telltale game I've played is Tales from the Borderlands, which I really enjoyed. I don't remember that, but maybe they just didn't do that for
I don't think they did it for Tales of the Borderland because that was when the studio had started shutting down.
Damn.
That's sad.
I don't think they did it, because I played it too, and I don't remember that being there, which they've done for all the. I've played like pretty much every Telltale game.
I want to mention
one of the Ratchet and Clank devs. It's basically that whole focus group testing the game, over focus group testing it, and it just leads to bland corporate gameplay.
Yeah, that's why indie games tend to have a lot more flavor and whatnot. But I do want to mention one thing, going back to what you were mentioning, what you were talking about, how sometimes your companions will mention a lot of these hints that just for like maybe solving a puzzle or whatever. For God of War Ragnarok, there was one particular person who played the game who kept complaining about how the character of Atreus kept giving away the hints. And this person complaining is none other than the voice actor for Atreus.
Than the voice actor.
Sonny Suljic.
Which makes sense, because in the middle of combat I'll notice like the command, Rook, you better dodge that. It's like a project, like an enemy is shooting a projectile. Now I don't mind it, but I can see people how that would constantly hearing it would annoy people.
I feel like the constant gets to me too, especially sometimes they're very sensitive. Or like you mess up once and then now you get the hint immediately, or you have to deal with that the rest of the game.
Or in some turn-based games, or it's not just turn-based games, your health is low and the command's like, you better heal. You better heal.
I know. If you guys have ever played Ace Combat 6, the phrase "careful now, the enemy has you on radar" will be burned into your memory because of how many times it's like, yes, I know the enemy has me on my radar.
You just reminded me of, this guy is a whole internet rabbit hole. He's a bit of a weirdo on the internet. Look up Dark-Sided Phil, DSP. You probably have seen YouTube videos, how to not play Metal Gear Solid, how to not play insert title.
I feel like they were like skits, right?
These are not skits. Okay. This is a guy. He was in the early days of YouTube. He would basically, it took him a long time to get a capture card. He would film his Let's Plays by putting a camera, like a camcorder, in front of his TV. He has a bunch of controversies. Like, he is a very hated figure on the internet, and there's a bunch of people following him, waiting for his downfall, who are equally as toxic as him. He's what the internet calls a lolcow, which I'm not going to get into what that means or anything. But when Tears of the Kingdom came out, somebody took a side-by-side shot of this one puzzle. DSP's playing that puzzle, and the other one's played by a VTuber Twitch streamer. And the VTuber Twitch streamer, she understands the puzzle. She's like, oh, I get it. You have to do this. I see. And then DSP is meanwhile, I don't get it. This is stupid. What am I supposed to do here? Huh? Like, he's like complaining, and somebody clipped both of those, like took both of those clips side by side, and they're like, if you ever wonder why certain video games, what the average end user, us devs, designed for, it's for people like DSP.
I feel that a little too much being a QA guy myself. There's a joke in when it comes to queuing. If I can just get this joke out of the way real quick, sorry. It's like, a developer designs a bar, and the QA guy comes in to test it. QA guy orders 1 bar, and then everything's fine. QA guy orders 1,000 bars, everything is fine. They open it up for production. Customer comes in, asks where the bathroom is, bar burns down.
I know this. Yeah, I've heard this one before.
Maybe it's too much of a deep cut of a developer QA joke. But yeah, Nael, you were about to say?
No. You brought up Tears of the Kingdom. I was going to say, like, in terms of how many improvements we got between
Breath of the Wild,
Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. Like, it's so many. It's like just the map, for instance, because like the way you can organize things, categorize things. It was very nice.
Really, I feel like it's been the same.
No. Well, like in both of them, but then yes, for the map specifically, both games were the same. It was nice. I liked being able to like highlight things and create my own system. But in terms of other features, I feel like they learned a lot from the first game and then brought it into the second game.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say they can't play Breath of the Wild again after Tears of the Kingdom.
It's not unplayable. Like especially the one that comes to mind.
I wouldn't say it's unplayable.
Yeah, it's
they have
because
trouble.
I went back and played it. It's a lot of fun. Like especially when your inventory is full and you open up a chest that's another weapon, it now gives you the option right there as soon as you open the chest how to deal with it if you want to drop something or just leave whatever you find in the chest.
That is a really nice. That's a really nice QOL. Yeah, that is a really nice QOL.
Definitely. I want to mention one more real quick, and this is more so with like older games, because especially games that were made for console, they didn't really let you remap controls the way you want them to. They usually come with presets.
Ooh, yeah.
Yep. For example, I tried to go back to Killzone 2. Your shooting controls or shooting and aiming are mapped to L1 and R1.
Right?
They had the presets, but they didn't let you use the triggers.
Oh, they were so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was just one
FPSs
that I
it was
with the
button
controller,
shooting.
And that sounds.
Oh my god!
That sounds awful to me, and I don't even play.
Yeah. But it is. I mean, especially for
it was a fun game, but button shooting was terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I didn't like that. I think we covered quite a bit there. I think it might be a good time for us to wrap up. We're just past the 1 hour mark. We tried to keep it under 1 hour, but that's fine. At least
by a minute or two. It's not
by
like
a minute or
20
two,
or something.
It might get cut down to an hour. We did have the mic situation.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I keep hitting my mic. I get a little too excited, guys. But you know what? If you've made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around. If a reminder for those that are coming and finding us for the first time, if you haven't already done so, please make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or your podcast platform of choice, wherever you choose to listen to us or watch us. Leave us a comment. Let us know your feedback. We'd definitely love to hear from you. As mentioned, we're attempting to record and release new podcast episodes every 2 weeks, so definitely be on the lookout for that. Anything else you guys want to add, Laughing Man, Nael?
Join the Discord.
Yeah, join the Discord. There you go. That's a good one. Join the Discord. Let Laughing Man do the moderating for you there.
Please self-moderate, so I don't have to do any moderating.
Yeah, make his job easier. And with that being said, this has been the Muslim Gamers Podcast. Until next time. Assalamu Alaikum.